All right, we were hoping that when we got into January, the market was going to finally turn. We're going to finally start heading back up, heading into a very strong spring. We have indications that we are on our way. We have indications that are not quite where we want to be, but we're going to take all the good news that we can get in this real estate market, and we're going to share it with you. This is Steve with the Malone Realty Group at eXp. All right, it is February 1st. The year is already 1/12 of the way through. I don't know how that happened, but that's what happens when you get old like me. So here's what we're going to talk about today. We do this every month or so. Last month we missed it because it was New Year's, and I'll be completely honest with you. Our December numbers sucked, all right? And again, this is YouTube. I'm going to use that terrible word. I'm going to say they sucked, all right? The December numbers were terrible. I just don't want to talk about it. I was tired of talking about it. I wanted to think positive. Okay, and again, I'm in New Year's, and the numbers are terrible in December, and I was like, just forget that. We're going to move on. So here we go. We got into January, and guess what? January was better. Yay! We actually had a house that we got under contract that had multiple offers. We're seeing increased traffic, I should say, in open houses from the agents that we work with, not just here locally, but all over the country. Things are improving. Again, not quite as fast as we wanted to, but we're going to let nature take its course. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take a look at what happened in January, because it's February 1st. We get all the numbers from January. Now, keep in mind, a lot of these numbers are still getting added to over the next couple of days. So some of these numbers may change a little bit, may go up or go down or whatever, but it gives you an indication of direction of the market. And the direction is we're pointed up. The two things to keep in mind about that is we're at the just you-know-what bottom of the market. The only place it could go was up from where it was because it was terrible. Terrible, sucked. Anyway, if you want to look up the Jim Mora diddly poo rant from when he was a coach of the Saints, just look up Jim Mora diddly poo, and you'll see the greatest coaching breakdown vent of all time. It's fantastic. I might even put a link to it in the description. I will. There it is. It's in the description right now. But anyway, but he talks about how they just sucked in the second half, and that's what we did in the world of real estate. So we're on the way up, okay? Because we were at the bottom, we're on the way up. So that's the one good thing to keep in mind. Number two, it's not quite the way we wanted it to be. The numbers aren't quite where we want to be, but there is one stat that stood out that had us saying, okay, that's good news. We're rocking and rolling. We're on our way. Here we go. So let's talk about the stats first, and then we're going to talk about what's happening next. Here we go. All right, so we're going to look at the stats from January into February. There is some good. There is some bad. Let's start with the bad news first. The bad news is, actually, we'll start with the good news. The good news is we're off the mat. We're off the bottom. We've hit the bottom of the trough, so to speak, and we're on the way back up. So we've hit the bottom of the market, and we're on the way back up. What we've been talking about, there's going to be that moment. It has happened. Not quite the balance I was hoping for, but it is still early. Let's break into the numbers, and let's talk about it right now. First of all, Greater Atlanta area, start with the sales price. Yeah, this is Greater Atlanta, so the major counties around the metro area. This goes back 3 years, but last month we were on average 442, 947. You can see how on the chart we topped out on sales price way back in June, and we've been kind of sliding down ever since. That hasn't changed. Number of new listings, this is interesting. Number of new listings has gone up. It's gone up to 5114. That's a pretty decent jump up. That's actually a 33% jump from the number of new listings that were added in December. When you compare that to where it was December to January of last year, even though the number was 6402, now we're sitting at 5114, this percentage was only 23%. This percentage, 33%. Better, okay? All right, there's no good or bad. We're just going to do the whole thing together because I can't remember what was good, what was bad. We're just going to do the whole thing together. So here we go. And again, my apologies. This could be edited really, really nice, but I'm just going to shoot from the hip, tell you what's going on, and then we're going to break it down at the end. Okay, so here we go. So that's the number of new listings. So what does that tell me? It tells me people are a little more excited about potentially putting their house on the market. It's bouncing up, which is what it's supposed to do. It wasn't supposed to crater the way it did at the end of last year, which is what it did. I mean, it's supposed to crater towards the end of the year, but not at the rate that it did. It just cratered last year. There's your bounce up. So the number of homes for sale right now is actually pretty flat because we've added more houses, but more houses have gone under contract. I'm going to show you that here on pending sales. This is the number we've been waiting to see. We're up to 3305. We were at 3042. Now, today is February 1st. I like to look at this right off the bat, but the FMLS will still add some data over the next couple of days. So this number could go up a little bit because there are things that went pending like last night or last couple of days that haven't officially hit the system, blah, blah, blah. So that number could go up. Whatever the number ends up, it is up. And that's the good news. It had been going down, down, to down, to down, down, down. We peaked in August after we came down dramatically out of May into June and July, up a little bit in August, and then it's just been free falling since then. So we're getting the bounce. We're supposed to get that bounce. It's what we typically see, but it's nice to actually see it. As bad as the market's been, we just need something to like hang our hat on and say, hey, things are going great. Things are going better. It's going better. There it is right there. Pending sales are up. So that's why the homes for sale is kind of flat. Even though more houses on the market, there's more pending sales. Actual homes that are for sale right now are pretty flat. So the number of closed sales, this one, again, it's early in the month, so this is going to change. The number of closed sales last month was only 2,095 as of this moment. It may come up to like 2,300, 2,400. You got to go all the way back here to January of 2011 or January 2010 to have a number that low. It's pretty darn low. All right. It's on YouTube. I'll say it. It's pretty damn low. Okay. We didn't do jack diddly squat in January as far as closings, which meant that December did not have a lot of pending sales, and we've shown you that already. Days on the market, way up. It's up to 42. That's interesting. We're going to go back and look. The last time it was at 42. Here, let's make this a 3-year chart again. Last time it was at 42 was, you had to go March of 2020. March of 2020, right before the whole world went nutsoid. And we went Rona crazy. So we were at 50 way back then. The market really wasn't that bad before COVID, and then the market went crazy. But that being said, that's where we are in days on market. Month supply, this is an interesting one. We talk about this all the time. If we sell everything, if we don't add any more homes, sell everything at the speed at which it's been selling, how much inventory, or how long will it take to sell everything? 2 months. Anything under 5 is a seller's market. Under 3 is a strong seller's market. Anything under like 1.5 is like a bananas seller's market, which is where we were last year. 2, still a seller's market in theory, and the buyers are starting to come back. So 2.0, it's been flat over the last month or so. It was 2.3 back in November and October, and then a lot of folks just decided we're not putting our house on the market and lost a lot of inventory because of that, and they took their houses off the market that were on the market. So we're down 2.0. That's the one thing that I'll tell you, when we look at some of the other areas in the country, some of the other areas in the country saw a dramatic drop in the number of buyers and saw a dramatic increase in the number of homes on the market. Here in Atlanta, we did not see the dramatic increase in the number of homes on the market. That is what has saved our area from seeing massive price drops. In some areas, has the price come down? You could argue yes. The question is, did it ever really come up? And this is kind of the for example thing we'll do. If in your neighborhood, let's say your house is worth $400,000, let's just say, and somebody down the street from you listed their house at $400,000 in April, and they got an offer for $475,000. Does that mean all the houses in the neighborhood are worth $475,000, or are all the houses worth $400,000 and it was just a crazy time in the world? There are some people who think the houses are worth $475,000 now. Those people are pissed off because the prices have come down to $400,000. There are some people who said, well, the prices never went up that high, and the prices just held flat. And it depends on who you talk to as to whether they see that the prices have gone way down or gone way up. Looking at what Zestimate or what Zillow has said does not mean that your home prices have gone down or gone up. It's a complicated thing, and you looking real quick on Zillow doesn't answer the question. Okay, there, rant over. That being said, back to what we're talking about, month supply, 2 months. We're still flat. It's still a seller's market. Buyers are still calling the shots, kind of, because buyers are coming back. Percentage of list price, We were holding at 98. 98 is a good average in a normal market. We were just below that, 97.6 last month. Price per square foot continues to go down. We're sitting at 197 right now. That's interesting. We were at $216 per square foot last year, down to 197. So that is interesting. That shows you that. I mean, if you were to look at this, if I was a super mathematical nerd, and you see how this chart's going up. Let's look at 5 years. Might be able to see it better in 5 years. See, there's a gradual build of this chart. I think the gradual build of this chart, then we get into COVID, and then everything starts going super crazy, right? And then it starts coming back down. I think that the natural graph of this chart would have that line going something like this and would end up somewhere around here. We might be getting down to where we were kind of supposed to be by now. And then we had that kind of COVID bubble, and now things are coming down, but they should go back up as we head into spring. I'd say, I don't know. We're making this up as we go, okay, because things are so weird. It's such a weird market right now coming out of COVID. Volume, I mean, way down on the amount of real estate that we sold. These are two very interesting things. Shows to pending, shows per listing. So shows to pending means, and I'm going to bring this back to 3 years. How many times did we have to show a house before it went under contract? Or how many times was a house shown before it went under contract? Right now we're at 20. You need 20 showings. You go back to last year, it was 28, 29, 28 in that range, so close to 30. That was during the craziness. Now, the reason that was because there was a crap ton of buyers, and there weren't a whole lot of homes. So every home that was on had a crap ton of buyers walking through it, right? So because of that, because you had so many buyers, you had so few homes on the market, everybody that was on the market had that many showings, had a whole bunch of showings. It took you 29 showings to get a contract, but that's just because, again, of a reflection. This is where the market is right now. If you want to get your house sold, you got to get 20 people in there on average to go look at it. Here's the problem, shows per listing. On average, last month we were doing 8.7. You need 20 showings per listing to go under contract. On average, we're doing 8.7. So you do the math, something in the neighborhood of I don't know how the math would work. Again, I'm a math nerd, but that's beyond my scope. I'm old now. So because of that, I would guess that means like 1 in 3 houses is not getting a contract, I would assume, something like that. I mean, you look back at last year, remember I told you we were sitting at 28, 29 shows to pending. Every house on average had 17 showings. So, I would say that means that more than half of the homes that were on the market went under contract. And some of them were just complete junk and just didn't sell. It was what it was. I mean, last year, if you didn't sell your house last year, something was really wrong, like at the early part of the year. Anyway, and maybe it was just an expensive house, whatever. Don't hate the player, hate the game. Anyway, so I say all of that to say this. The good news is, and we're going to shrink this down to 1 year, 8.7 shows per listing. That's the highest that we've seen since May. Since May. May we were still kind of in the game a little bit. Then June, everything went way down. June, it was at 8.4. Now, I'll make the argument that June probably started at 10 and ended at 6 because there was a drastic drop right in the middle of June. So the fact that we're up to 8.7 now is a good sign. It means we got a whole bunch more buyers coming back. This is, of all the pieces of information that I see here, pending sales going up, that's good. I'd like to be higher. Maybe it is going to end up being higher once all the dust settles. This one right here shows per listing, 8.7 to 5.2. That is up, what did I just say? Let me do the math. Because again, it's up 67%. So you can make the argument that we have 67% more traffic in homes right now than we had back in December. That's a good number. I like that. I want it to be higher, and I think it's going to be higher once we get into February and get into March as the buyers are coming back. So those are the stats. Now let's break down why I think things are trending in the right direction and what happens next. So where are we going from here? And what's driving it? Well, obviously what's driving it is the interest rates. The interest rates are what drove the market down. keep in mind, coming out of the pandemic market, we needed something to happen to slow the market down, something to happen to bring the market back to reality. It was the interest rates hitting 6% back in June. Now, what happened was the market income kind of slowing down. The market hit a brick wall with a train. I mean, the market just completely imploded for a good 6 months. It was rough, but things started to look up a little bit in December, and now we're kind of off to the races here. Coming out of January and into February, the buyers are back. Things are improving. Okay, so one of the reasons why that is the interest rates are actually trending down now, and looking like they're going to continue to trend down as we head into this year. What's very interesting is the numbers hitting 6% are what completely crashed the market. People are coming back, and we really have not, as a market, passed that 6% threshold yet as of February 1st. We're close to 6%, but I think a lot of buyers, as we've talked about for months, they didn't get blasted into outer space on a rocket ship. They're basically sitting on the sidelines just waiting. And they're waiting, and with the interest rates trending down, it's almost time to come back in the market. Now, the thing to keep in mind is, if you're waiting for an interest rate to get to 3%, you are going to be waiting for a very long time. The interest rates were in the 3% and 2% range because things had slowed down so much. Okay? That's why the interest rates were as low as they were. So, looking at what's going to happen this year, the interest rates may drop down into the mid fives, low fives, maybe by the end of the year. Long term, where the interest rate's going to be, I think we're going to fluctuate somewhere between the upper fours to low sixes on average. That's where the interest rates are really supposed to be. I mean, that's a healthy interest rate, like historically. I don't see any reason why the interest rates would go screaming back down to threes and twos unless a big calamity happens, and you've got to give away that kind of interest rate to kind of keep the real estate market going. Kind of what we saw during the pandemic. The pandemic completely crashed so many different sectors of the economy. Real estate was not one of them because they dropped the interest rates way down in the upper twos to low threes, and that kept things rolling for a couple of years. Well, you pull those rates back up to 6%. Now, all of a sudden, you got all these people who refied or bought houses and sitting at 3%. They're not buying a house at 7%. They don't care what it looks like or where it is. They're not doing it. They're not selling their house at 3% and going somewhere at 7%. But if you're in a house that you're like, about at 3%, and you find like bananas nice house and you have to go to 5%, I don't like it, but we'll deal with it. I'll take it. That's fine. That's what we're going to see this year. Some people are just going to get over it, and some people are just over the shock of the fact that, you know what, this is where the interest rates are. It is what it is. That's where the interest rates are. That's where they're going to be. So I think a lot of buyers are dealing with that. That's going to be the catalyst that gets a lot of people back in the market. I think that for the next month to month and a half, a lot of sellers are slower to get back in the market than the buyers. So you'll have a lot more buyers coming back than sellers. There's going to be a window there where if you're selling your house, there's not a lot of competition. Late February, early March might be a really kicking time to sell your house. That being said, if you want to buy a house, right now is the time to run. Run right now, because the buyers are going to be coming back, okay? And if the interest rates get in the low fives, great. Buy it now, get the lower price, because prices are going to keep going up, okay? From here, there's no reason why prices are going down. We made it to January. We're going into the spring season. The economy, yes, it's slowing down, or it's near a recession, or could have a recession, or whatever you want to call it. I think everybody's in agreement that where the economy is right now, if you got so many people saying it might go into a recession, some say it will, some say it won't, whatever, and you have an unemployment rate at 3.5%, just looked, it's 3.5%. I don't think anybody's like scared or whatever about the economy. So I think from this point forward, I say all that to say home prices are going to gradually go up. They're not going to go up 20% a year like they did a couple years in a row during the pandemic, but they're going to go up 4 to 5% every year. That's what they normally do. That's what they're going to keep doing. That's why we buy real estate, okay? We live in it. It goes up in value. You live in it long enough, you make a good amount on it and go to the next one. So a lot of buyers are going to look at it and say, let me get the house now before it goes up in value. Let me lock it in, If I need to refi, I'll refi, but let me beat everybody to the market. That way I'm only competing with a couple of buyers instead of dozens of buyers. Okay, I'm only competing with maybe 1 or 2 offers versus 20 offers. Okay, so if you want to buy, next couple of weeks is your chance. If you want to sell through probably the early part of March is your chance. I think once we get into late March, early April, I think we're wide open. I think we got a whole bunch of buyers, we got a whole bunch of sellers, and we're rocking and rolling all the way through probably the middle of June. And then we settle down. Then the question becomes, what happens as we head into fall? Do we have another collapse like we had last year? We're not even going to think about that. Okay, shh. We're not thinking negative. All positive. Positive mindset, baby. That's what we're doing here. So if you want to talk about it, we broke down the numbers. Everything's trending up. Not as fast as we want, but trending up, we'll take it. What's going to happen? We're going to be watching it every step of the way this month, have a full breakdown on March 1st of what happened, and we're going to be walking you through spring. Here to answer any questions, 470-233-4409. Emails below. This is Steve. Appreciate your time. Take care and enjoy that YouTube video down at the bottom. That's fantastic. It's been years since he did that. And it's still hilarious. Jim Mora, the Diddley Poo Ran. Fantastic. Have a good one. Bye. Hey, thanks for watching the video today. If you want more information on what's going on in the real estate market, take a look at some of these videos over here that we've posted, keeping up with what, buying, selling, things that are going on in the North Georgia market. But if you want to keep up with everything that we post to our YouTube channel, be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel down there, bottom right. That way you won't miss out on anything.